Welcome to another Walter Football video. I'm Charlie Campbell, Senior Draft Analyst. So I'll get into this week's mock here. First overall pick, Jets taking Trevor Lawrence. That's a no-brainer if they get it. I think New York is looking pretty good in that regard. Obviously, they're the worst team in the NFL. They don't seem that motivated to win or avoid an 0-16 season. And I just think that the Jets, as the season goes on, it'll probably only get worse in terms of quitting on Adam Gase. So I think the Jets are pretty safe to get that pick. Now, second overall, right now the Giants have Jamar Chase. Really interesting pick here. If Dave Gettleman survives and he's the general manager next year, I think he would probably look to more build around Daniel Jones rather than replace Daniel Jones. So if you're going to do that, you have option A, take Jamar Chase, get him a number one receiver, or option B, trade down, get a bunch of picks, try and help the roster out at a few different spots. I think you could make a great argument for either one of those. I think the trade down would probably be what they would look to do, and because this is such a good draft at wide receiver, I think the Giants would make sense to trade down. Yes, you lose out on Chase, but you can still get good receiver talent, and they have so many other needs on the rest of that roster that have to be addressed, and now you have more picks and resources to do it. Third overall, Jaguars, I have them taking Justin Fields, the quarterback from Ohio State, assuming New York. I don't project trades and mocks because it's pointless. But third overall, Jaguars take Justin Fields. So I think that right there, that's a no-brainer for them. Obviously, Gardner Minshew has had some nice moments, but not enough where they're looking at him as the long-term future there. Obviously, Jacksonville needs a new general manager. Dave Caldwell's incompetent. But you can't have a lot of confidence in the Cons running the team that they're going to make the right decision there given their track record. But I think Fields could fall into their lap, and I think that would make all the sense in the world for the Jaguars to take a new quarterback and build around him as the future of the franchise. Fourth overall pick, I have the Dolphins taking Gregory Rousseau, the defensive end from Miami. They've gotten a really nice season out of Emmanuel Ogbah. That defense has really come alive, but I think they could use one more elite edge rusher in that unit, and I think they could, having him next to Christian Wilkins, that'd be really fun to see, and I think that would really help make Miami even tougher on that side of the ball. Fifth overall, I have the Cowboys taking Penei Sewell, the left tackle from Oregon. Now, this pick is interesting to me because the Cowboys, where they're sitting here in the draft, there isn't a great value defensively in terms of passing on Sewell. Sewell is by far the best player available right here in the top five, and I think that getting a franchise left tackle, you can never go wrong with that. Even though they have bigger needs, obviously Tyron Smith is aging, has had injury issues, so you could start out Sewell on the inside and then eventually replace Smith. And clearly Dallas's season ended when Dak Prescott got hurt, so you can never really knock yourself or hold back when it comes to putting in a premium resource to protect your quarterback. And also, building up that line, that's going to help them to get more out of the money they've invested in Zeke Elliott and Amari Cooper and the pick and CeeDee Lamb. You need to have a line that gives your receivers time to get open, that opens holes for your running back. So I think the way this is mapping out, it would make more sense for Dallas to take Sewell and just have that building block for the future rather than reach and pass on him for an inferior talent. Sixth overall, I have the Falcons taking Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. I think if Atlanta's picking high enough to get one of the top three, they got to do it. And thank Matt Ryan for all he's done and try and find him a home with a contender. If you can't, then you have the rookie back him up for a year or so. But I think if Atlanta's picking high enough to get one of the top three quarterbacks, they should do it. That being said, I think they're going to win enough games down the stretch here. I think that team's really going to respond to Raheem Morris well. I know players are going to lay it all out for him. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they win a number of games and they're picking, by the end of this thing, they're picking too low to get one of those top 3 quarterbacks. In that case, I think they should look at defense. Best player available. Hopefully it's a defensive lineman. But they got to improve that defense most of all, aside from the future on the quarterback position, and that decision trumps everything with NFL teams. 7th overall, Redskins. I have them taking Alex Leatherwood, the left tackle from Alabama. They need a replacement for Trent Williams. He's played well for Alabama this year. That'd be a nice fit for them. 8th overall pick, I have the Chargers taking Carlos Basham, the defensive end from Wake Forest. Melvin Ingram's aging. He won't be on the team a whole lot longer. Even if he does do a contract extension, it's probably going to be only a, 1, 2, 3 year deal. It might be written out like 5 or 6 years, but it's going to be 1 to 3 years, and they could cut him after that kind of thing. But they could use an end to go with Joey Bosa, and it would make sense to have the guy on that cheap rookie 5-year contract, given all the money they paid Bosa. So that could be a nice tandem for the Chargers. 9th overall, I have the Patriots taking Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama. Even with the ankle injury, I think by the time the draft rolls around, he'll be working out and showing off his world-class speed. And he could become a hot prospect again later in the process. And obviously the Patriots badly need some playmakers for that offense, and Waddle would be a plug-and-play upgrade for sure. 10th overall pick, I have the Vikings taking Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle from Alabama. I think that they need some youth on the inside of that defensive line, and I think Barmore would really help them with his inline rush, cause some disruption, get after the quarterback. And it's hard to find interior pass rushers. So when you get a guy like Barmore, you get a shot at a guy like that. It's hard to turn it down because they are rare and they're tough to find. 11th overall pick, I have the Bengals taking Micah Parsons, a linebacker from Penn State. Cincinnati's linebackers have been bad for a few years. They're going to need to devote a premium resource towards fixing that before too long. 12th overall pick, I have the Panthers taking Kyle Pitts, the tight end from Florida. This was a tough pick because the Panthers' big needs of, say, cornerback, there isn't a corner here good enough or better than, say, Kyle Pitts is. They could use linebacker help. Micah Parsons just went off the board. This is a little high for Dylan Moses. So in terms of an offensive tackle, they could use one of those as well, but Leatherwood's gone. Might be a little high for Sam Cosmi. But Pitts is just phenomenal. He's definitely worthy of going in the top 16. And Carolina's gotten very little production out of the tight end position this year. They need a long-term replacement for Greg Olsen, and Pitts would be such a mismatch and problem. One of the things is, though, Carolina, there's only one ball to go around. They got a lot of mouths to feed. So if Curtis Samuel resigns, then it would be tough to take Pitts, in my opinion, because you have Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Pitts. That's 5 different guys you need to feed the ball to regularly, and their defense is really hurting for talent. So it might be a situation where they should look to try and trade back, but that's always easier said than done. 13th overall pick, Lions. I have them taking Aiden Hutchinson, the defensive end from Michigan. Really fun player to watch. Detroit needs an end opposite Trey Flowers. I think Hutchinson would be a nice scheme fit there for Detroit. 14th overall pick, I have the Broncos taking Shaun Wade, the cornerback from Ohio State. I think Denver needs to upgrade that secondary. Wade is versatile. He can play slot corner. He can play safety. He's lining up on the outside this year. We'll see how he does when he gets some better tests. But Wade definitely could be, if he plays well on the outside this year, I think that'll really help him, and I think he could end up going high. And the Broncos need a number 1 corner. They need more cornerback talent. they could really use multiple corners. So Wade would be a good pick for Denver. 15th overall, I have the 49ers taking Andre Cisco, the safety from Syracuse. For years now, safety's been an issue for San Francisco. San Francisco and Cisco would be a plug-and-play upgrade for them. 16th overall pick, I have the Dolphins taking Travis Etienne, the running back from Clemson. I think just giving another playmaker to Tua would make a lot of sense. Obviously, Miami's backfield doesn't really have that long-term answer and starter, and Etienne would be such a nice player for a young quarterback because he's so good in the passing game. He's so dangerous on check down passes with the amount of yards he can rip off quickly and just turn a check down into a chunk play, and I think that would be a really nice outlet and resource for Tua. 17th overall pick, I have the Raiders taking Kwity Paye, the defensive end from Michigan. He's got the size to line up on the inside. They got to get more pass rushers there. Cleveland Farrell has been a disappointment. They got to get guys that can get after the quarterback more, and Paye definitely has that ability. 18th overall, I have the Bears taking Sam Cosmi, the left tackle from Texas. I think Chicago's got to improve that offensive line. Their offense is dreadful. I think they have a middling, plotting kind of back in David Montgomery, and they're going to need a much better offensive line to get by with him as the feature back. And also, I just think from the quarterback perspective, if you're not picking high enough to land one of those top quarterbacks, you need to build up the talent around that quarterback to make his job easier and help him to produce points. So Cosmi to the Bears. 19th overall, I have the Eagles taking Dylan Moses, the linebacker from Alabama. Obviously, the Eagles linebackers have been dreadful. Moses would be a plug-and-play upgrade. 20th overall, I have the Browns taking Javon Holland, the free safety from Oregon. He's sitting out this season, but he would really upgrade the Browns' coverage on the back end. I think if they can beef up Grant Delpit, get him to be a bit stronger, I think he could be a strong safety. Obviously, his tackling needs to improve, but I think watching him at LSU, he was more comfortable and played better when he was closer to the line of scrimmage. So I think if you add a free safety behind him, that'll really help the Browns' coverage and give them a talented young safety tandem potentially. 21st overall, I have the Jags taking J.C. Horn, the cornerback from South Carolina. The Jags secondary is awful outside of C.J. Henderson. I think Horn would be a quick upgrade, give them a talented young tandem there in Jacksonville. 22nd overall, I have the Colts taking Caleb Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech. I think the Colts could definitely use more cornerback talent to go with Rock Ya-Sin, and I think Farley's size and speed and athleticism would be a nice developmental player for Indianapolis, and they have a really good coaching staff that I think would do a good job of ironing out some of the inconsistencies in Farley's game. 23rd overall, I have the Cardinals taking Patrick Surtain II. Obviously, Patrick Peterson can't play forever. They could use more young cornerback talent, so Surtain to them. 24th overall, the Ravens, I have them taking Paris Ford, the safety from Pitt. I think he'd be a great fit in Baltimore with his physicality and instincts, give them a replacement for Earl Thomas. 25th overall, I have the Packers taking Jalen Mayfield, the right tackle from Michigan. I think Green Bay could use more youth on that offensive line, help protect Aaron Rodgers and then Jordan Love, and add some more young talent to that blocking front. 26th overall, I have the Titans taking Rashad Weaver, the edge rusher from Pitt. Clowney was only signed to a one-year deal. Vic Beasley was cut, didn't even make it halfway through the year. So obviously Tennessee needs some more youth at edge rusher and some long-term answers there. And Weaver has played really well this year coming off an injury. He's been impressive. So Weaver to the Titans. 27th overall, I have the Saints taking Richard LeCounte, the safety from Georgia. I think that would be an upgrade for them. Malcolm Jenkins has gotten picked on this season. He's not the player he once was. I think they could use an upgrade there. 28th overall, I have the Bills taking Trey Hill, the center. Could also play guard from Georgia. He's blocking really well this year. Strong at the point of attack. Big for a center. Has really good size if you want to get that bigger center that can help create a push at the point of attack. I think he'd really fit in well on that Buffalo offensive line. They could play him at guard or center, move him around, and have a nice player. That would be an upgrade for them. 29th overall, I have the Bucs taking Jay Tafule, the defensive tackle from USC. And Ndamukong Suh is aging. He's not going to be around forever. They're going to pay big money to Vita Vea before too long, I'm safely assuming. And then it gives them a talented guy to go with them that's young and on a cheap contract in Tafule. 30th overall, I have the Chiefs taking Wyatt Davis, the guard from Ohio State. Really mean, tough run blocker. Has had some issues in pass protection, including the 2 games this year for Ohio State. Davis has already allowed a couple of sacks, so has some pass protection issues he needs to iron out, but he's a tough run blocker at the point of attack, and I think the Chiefs would really could use some more size and physicality up front, help protect the investments they have, and open holes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I think with their coaching staff, they could iron out those pass protection issues with Davis over time and experience. 31st overall, Jets, I have them taking Devontae Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. I think this is a really good value for the Jets late in the first round with their pick from Seattle. Give Trevor Lawrence a top receiver right away. If Devontae Smith were 20 pounds heavier, I think he'd be a top 10 pick, because this guy is a pure football player. He's phenomenal route runner, has speed, excellent technique in terms of how he sets cornerbacks up, gets yards after the catch, excellent hands. Really a fantastic football player. He's just thin built, thin framed, smaller, undersized guy. So that's the real knock on him that causes him to be more of a pick in the mid to late first round. But I think he could end up being a steal. Wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the guys that kind of overcomes that weakness and still has a great career. 32nd overall, I have the Steelers taking Tyson Campbell, the cornerback from Georgia. I think obviously Joe Hayden can't play forever. Would give the Steelers a young corner there to get ready to replace him. So I hope you like this week's mock, guys. I'll be back with you next week with another mock, of course. Please like the video, share it, subscribe to our channel. Can follow me on Twitter at Draft Campbell. Follow Walt at Walter Football. Check in the description box here. I have the links to our mocks, our scouting, prospect rankings, and all kinds of other draft content. So go to walterfootball.com. We got you covered. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with you soon.